History teaches us that revolutions are rarely about taxes alone. They are about the principles and values that underpin a society. When these principles are violated, when the values of fairness and justice are trampled upon, people are driven to take drastic measures. The cry for justice echoes through the ages, resonating in the hearts of those who feel oppressed and unheard. It's not simply the weight of taxation, but the injustice of it that fuels revolt. The sense of being unfairly treated, of being exploited by those in power, creates a deep-seated anger. This anger is not just about money. It's about dignity, respect, and the right to be heard. When people feel that their voices are ignored, that their concerns are dismissed, they are left with no choice but to rise up and demand change. When people are denied a voice in how they are governed and how their money is spent, resentment festers. This resentment is like a smoldering fire, slowly building up heat until it finally erupts into flames. The feeling of powerlessness, of being at the mercy of distant rulers who do not understand or care about their struggles, drives people to seek justice through rebellion. This resentment, coupled with economic hardship, becomes a potent force for change. Economic struggles amplify the sense of injustice as people see their hard-earned money taken away while they struggle to make ends meet. The combination of economic pain and political disenfranchisement creates a volatile mix, one that has historically led to some of the most significant upheavals in human history. Throughout history, tax revolts have been ignited by a fundamental demand representation. The idea that those who are taxed should have a say in how those taxes are used is a powerful one. It speaks to the core of democratic principles, to the belief that governance should be by the people and for the people. When this principle is violated, when people feel that they are being taxed without having a voice, they are driven to demand representation. From the American colonies to the streets of Paris, the demand for representation has been a rallying cry. In the American Revolution, the cry of no taxation without representation became a unifying slogan, bringing together diverse groups of people in a common cause. In Paris, the demand for representation was a key driver of the French Revolution, as people rose up against a system that they felt was deeply unjust. From the plantations of Haiti to the frozen plains of Russia, the demand for representation has been a powerful force. In Haiti, enslaved people rose up against their oppressors, demanding not just freedom, but a voice in their own governance. In Russia, the demand for representation was a key factor in the revolution that overthrew the Tsarist regime, as people sought to create a more just and equitable society. People have risen up against oppressive tax systems throughout history. These uprisings are not just about money, they are about justice, fairness, and the right to be heard. When people feel that they are being unfairly taxed, that their hard-earned money is being taken away without their consent, they are driven to demand change. These demands are not just about reducing taxes, they are about creating a more just and equitable society. These systems were often designed to benefit a privileged elite while burdening the majority. The American Revolution, the French Revolution, the Haitian Revolution, the Russian Revolution, and now the Kenyan Revolution all stand as stark reminders of the explosive power of this grievance. In each of these cases, the people rose up against a system that they felt was deeply unjust, demanding not just lower taxes but a fundamental change in the way they were governed. The American Revolution, the French Revolution, the Haitian Revolution, the Russian and Kenyan Revolution all stand as stark reminders of the explosive power of this grievance. These revolutions were driven by a deep-seated sense of injustice, by the belief that the existing system was fundamentally unfair. The people who rose up in these revolutions were not just seeking to reduce their tax burden. They were seeking to create a more just and equitable society. These revolutions were not merely about reducing taxes. They were about fundamental human rights. They were about the right to self-determination, to have a say in how one's life is governed, and to ensure that the fruits of one's labor are not unjustly seized. These revolutions were driven by a deep-seated belief in the principles of justice and fairness, by the belief that all people have the right to be heard and to have a say in how they are governed. They were about the right to self-determination, to have a say in how one's life is governed, and to ensure that the fruits of one's labor are not unjustly seized. These revolutions were driven by a deep-seated belief in the principles of justice and fairness, by the belief that all people have the right to be heard and to have a say in how they are governed. The demand for representation is not just about taxes. It is about the fundamental principles of democracy and justice. Examining these historical upheavals reveals the deep connection between taxation, representation, and the very essence of a just and equitable society. These revolutions show us that the demand for representation is not just about money. It is about the fundamental principles of justice and fairness. When people feel that they are being unfairly taxed, that their voices are not being heard, they are driven to demand change. These demands are not just about reducing taxes. They are about creating a more just and equitable society.